What's up? Welcome to episode 2 of One Album Only. Tonight we're going to talk about the great Suicidal Tendencies album, Join the Army. Now, this album right here came out in 1987, and it kind of was one of the first albums to start mixing metal and punk. Their first album was really just a punk album. And then for about 4 years they were kind of on hiatus, and nobody really knew where they were. Because the FBI, I guess, was considering them a gang, and they were basically banned from playing in Venice Beach, in their hometown. So, after 4 years goes by, it's 1987, and, music had definitely made a difference in the change, and punk rock kind of took the back seat to metal. But there were some bands like this band, Suicidal Tendencies, who decided to mix the two together. And man, what a great idea it was. Now, of course, these guys have several great albums after this, but this is their second album, and it's the first to actually mix metal and punk together for them. And they get a new guitar player, Rocky George, and get a new drummer and everything. And man, let me tell you what, this album is just the quintessential Suicidal Tendencies album. I definitely say it's my favorite because it mixes the punk and the metal just perfect. And the whole concept of the album, Join the Army, the whole song is about how they were always being bothered and they were banned from playing in their hometown, and the FBI just looked at the way they dressed and said they were in a gang. I mean, who knows, maybe they were. But, so after about 4 years, they kind of started to progress in music, and they come out with this album, and man, let me tell you what, this thing hit the spot, because this is the key Suicidal Tendencies album. Yeah, it's their second album. The first album was really good, but it was punk rock. At this point, it's kind of more metal. And, this is the one that kind of got it started for it all. Obviously, it just kept rolling after that, and they made many, many great albums still. They just released one a couple months ago, or last month, I should say, which is really, really good. But, when you have songs on here like Suicidal Maniac and War Inside My Head, You Got, I Want, the song Join the Army, man, is awesome. It talks about, doesn't matter about the clothes you wear, you know what I'm saying? It's not, the length of your hair, whatever color you are is cool with him. Songs like Human Guinea Pig, Possessed to Skate. I mean, these songs are like the bomb. But it's one of them things again, Suicidal Tendencies, I know a lot of people that like them, like myself. But a lot of times I run across people that obviously like the band, but they don't even really mention this album. And I think that you have to mention this album. This is the one that really, really got it rolling. And people need to stop and listen to this thing, Songs like The Prisoner and I Feel Your Pain, Born to Be Psycho, No Name, No Words, Look Into Your Eyes, Two Wrongs Don't Make a Right. These songs are awesome. And then there's that song, A Little Each Day, which is like the first kind of song you start hearing from Mike Muir, where he's kind of more singing and he's a little more serious, a little more sincere, kind of a slower song, at least slower for them, but, it's a great album. And, I have to tell you, I've seen Suicidal Tendencies a few times, and I've met Mike Muir a couple times. Well, I'll tell you one time that stands out the most is I went and saw him probably about 4 or 5 years ago with a couple friends of mine, and a few nights earlier, we had went and seen this band called Fishbone, which I'm sure some of you may have heard of, but the reason we went and saw them is because at the time, their guitar player was Rocky George. Now, Rocky hadn't been with Suicidal Tendencies in a very, very long time, but, he was on this album, and he was on all the good albums. So, we went and saw him, and we met him, and, he signed my CD cover for me. And so, a couple days later, we go see Suicidal Tendencies, and I take the CD cover with me, and, the show's over, actually before the show was over, we got pulled up on stage, me and my friends, so we got to help sing along and, do the Suicidal Anthem and ST and all this crap, so, man, it was awesome. And then when the show was over, Mike Muir's off by the bar or whatever, and I'm talking to him, a lot of people are trying to talk to him, but I finally get my chance, and, I was like, hey, Mike, blah, 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 obviously I bombarded him with all the shit that I love, all their albums and stuff like that. I said, man, can you sign my CD cover? And he's like, sure. So I pull it out and I hand it to him, and he looks at it, and then he looks back up at me because they had the Rocky signature. Now, I don't know if they're if it's them that have the beef between each other or something, I don't know. But he kind of looked at me funny and looked back up at me. And I was like, Mike, man, we met Rocky the other night, man. He's in Fishbone, and I got him to sign the CD. And he was like, oh, okay, cool. So he signs the CD cover, and he gives it back to me. And then we're sitting there talking for a little while. And I don't know, I was really drunk, of course, and was having a great time at the show. And I turned around and was like talking to Mike again. I was like, Mike, man, I met Rocky, and man, and he looked at me straight in the eye, and he was like, yeah, you already told me that. And then he just walks off. I was like, damn, man, I just pissed off Psycho Myco. So here I am, I walk out the bar, and I'm thinking, man, I just pissed off Psycho Myco, blah, blah, blah. But it was a great show. We got to get up on stage. I got my cover signed and everything like that. But we walk out of the bar, and we walk to the back of the place where they had the show, and we were looking for a bar to go to and finish drinking because we weren't from this town that we went to. We really wasn't sure. Well, sure enough, man, there was Mike Clark. And we're like, Mike, man. So we go down to the bar. We hang out with Mike Clark. Me and my friend Jeff and Gabe hang out with Mike Clark forever at the bar. None of these people at the bar know who he is or what's going on or anything. So we're sitting there talking to him, and then the guitar player from Madball comes in, and then we get to hang out with him for a little while, too. So, man, what a great night that was. And, you know, I just want to give props to this album right here, Suicidal Tendencies. Join the Army, because without it, man, you know, maybe the punk wouldn't have survived, or metal wouldn't have survived, whatever. But when you put the two together like that, it's very rare that it would even work. There's only a few other bands that even made it work, which is like DRI, you know. But this band right here was awesome, and this album is awesome, man. I love the song Join the Army. You Got, I Want, you know, War Inside My Head is just a classic Suicidal song. Suicidal Maniac, you know, Human Guinea Pig, all these songs are great, man. So if you consider yourself a Suicidal fan and you don't have this album, and quit considering yourself a Suicidal fan until you go buy it and listen to it, then realize what they were all about, because this is like the key album right here that pushed them further into their career. Because, you know, the first album was punk, and it was a great album, but it was punk, you know, and then all of a sudden they were gone for a while, and then 4 years later they pop up with this. You know, they found Rocky George. He was kind of a metal guitar player, so, you know, they put this shit together, and it's awesome. So this is why episode 2 I chose to put Join the Army as my favorite Suicidal Tendencies album, and definitely the album that you need to go check out. So anyways, see you next time.